Michael served as both Jeff's caregiver and his boyfriend. For a few years, Jeff had been regressing, and Michael was always delighted to console and support him. But since they were both in college, it wasn't always easy to go back in time, especially in the middle of a lesson. Since everyone had to wear masks due to the pandemic, it was fortunate, sort of, that Jeff could insert a pacifier without feeling judged. Michael always had a Parky and Jeff's favorite stuffed animal with him in case he needed or wanted them. The fact that Jeff and Michael had all of their classes together made it much simpler for Michael to look after Jeff while in class. Jeff had just woken up, early for school, and he was more pouty than usual. "Baby, we have to get up because we have to be at school in about 45 minutes. Jeff's hold around Michael's waist became more firm. "Do you want to skip today?" Jeff moaned and released the fantasy, letting the blonde to stand up by saying, "No, we can't, baby, come on." Michael stood up and went to the wardrobe, where he took 2 hoodies, some sweatpants, and some jeans. He hastily put on his hoodie and slacks before turning to face Jeff, who was now completely covered by the blanket. Michael sighed and took a deliberately louder, dramatic stroll. Michael almost instantly said, "I guess I'll just leave you here," after sensing arms around his torso. "Oh, hello Gogi," Michael said, turning to face the British man and cupping his checks. Jeff complained, "We have to go to school, Baba," before turning to the bed and getting ready. Michael was baking bagels for the 2 of them downstairs in the meantime. Soon, with his hoodie covering his head, Jeff fell down the steps. Michael approached him and presented him with a warm bagel that was wrapped in aluminum foil. "What's that?" Jeff hummed contentedly and pointed to Michael's before saying, "Bagel with cream cheese and strawberries." "What is yours?" Jeff shook his head, "Bacon, egg and cheese," then reached for a bottle of apple juice from the refrigerator and headed over to the table. "We must depart from Jeff. We always have time to dine here, though," so Michael approached the Brit and extended his hand. Very instantly, Jeff took it. Jeff grumbled, but followed Michael out of the home. "You took so long to get up today, we have to leave, come on," he said. Once inside, Michael drove to the campus. Time jump, it is now 12. Jeff sat in the very back of the classroom next to Michael. Jeff's leg was grabbed firmly by Michael's hand. They were in his favorite subject, coding, so for once Michael was actually paying attention. Jeff caused Michael to turn to him by pulling on his sleeve. Jeff murmured into his ear while leaning forward, "Need a Parky?" "Ah, wait on," said Michael as he immediately handed him Jeff's blue pacifier after digging inside his luggage. Jeff lowered his mask, swiftly inserted it, and then raised it back up. Michael looked at Jeff and asked, "All better?" Jeff replied with a head shake. Jeff leaned back to Michael once more while securing the pacifier in the corner of his lips and humming. Michael chuckled and then whispered back, "Sleep." Jeff complained while crossing his arms, "You can't nap now." Jeff leaned close to Michael as he moaned and pulled up his hoodie. Jeff nodded in agreement and turned back to the teacher, who said, "We can go home after this class, I'll just gather our work before we leave." However, he soon sank into a little spot and started whining. Michael gave Jeff a tap on the shoulder and drew his ear to his mouth. Michael started off by asking, "If you can sit quietly for," as he checked the time. Jeff's eyes brightened as he said, 15 minutes, and I'll fetch you a new stuffy." He sat down at the desk and rested his chin on his arm. Michael exhaled, grateful that Jeff didn't have a severe temper tantrum. Jeff remained seated in his seat even after class ended 15 minutes later. Jeff whimpered, "Come on, let's go home," and raised his hands to make grabby gestures towards the blonde. Michael grabbed up Jeff and put him on his back while turning his bag over so that it was on his stomach. Michael took them to their next class while Jeff put his head on his shoulder. The pacifier was dragged to the side of Jeff's mouth as he wailed and weakly kicked his feet. Jeff whimpered, "Home," and Michael chuckled slightly. Jeff sighed but laid his head back on Michael's shoulder, saying, "I know, darling, I'm just getting our work, then we can leave." Extremely early, the blonde entered the room. The instructor addressed the two youngsters by saying, "Hello, Mr. Clay, Jeff. Is he okay?" The instructor indicated Jeff, who was lying on his back. "Yes, sir. He injured his leg yesterday but wouldn't stay home. He claimed it hurts more now, so I'm going to take him home to rest. I was just passing by to get our work," the man stated. Michael nodded before turning back, but his teacher stopped him when he started talking again, saying, "Oh well, we were only completing notes today. You can get the digital copy online with the directions. Other than making notes for the upcoming days and telling Mr. Davidson to stay at home and recover, we really don't have much planned." Only Michael could hear the low squeak that Jeff made as he nodded, but the blonde could tell that Jeff was ready to go. "Well, Mr. Woods, have a good remainder of your day." The teacher waved the two on, saying, "You two, take care of him," and Michael led the two of them to their subsequent classrooms, having to repeat the same incident. Thankfully, they did all of their work online. Michael made his way to the automobile after leaving the building. Jeff complained while pointing out the window as he was being driven back to their residence. "What's up, baby?" Michael laughed, forgetting that he had promised to bring him a new stuffy provided he sat still. Michael made the decision to travel to Target because that is where Jeff liked to buy his stuffies. Michael pulled up to Jeff's side, opened the door, and took hold of his hand when they had parked. Michael inquired, "How old are you right now?" to the brunette. Jeff merely extended 4 fingers. Michael nodded before returning to the shop's door. When asked, "Do you want to get in a buggy?" Jeff nodded while squealing a little with joy. Michael took up Jeff and placed him in the large section of a basket after wiping it off with a disinfectant wipe. Jeff peered among the plush animals after being pushed to where they were. He pointed to a gray elephant with large ears that drew his attention. Michael assumed he hadn't shifted the parky until he heard that one, which was very muffled. Jeff pointed to a green and blue squishy as Michael handed him the elephant and was going to push the basket away. Jeff moaned, "Just one munchkin," and beat his foot in the basket. "Now, kid, no temper tantrums." Jeff whimpered once more, his eyes getting glistening. "You have enough stuffed animals, dear, we can acquire another one tomorrow." "Now." "I need it now." Jeff approached the side of the carriage and raised Jeff's head to face him. Jeff sighed and lowered his head as he uttered, "Your big naughty sweetheart, only one today." Returning to the basket, Michael began advancing toward the cashier. Jeff briefly hesitated to hand over the elephant so that Michael could scan it, but eventually, after much grousing, he got it scanned and returned it. A time jump. Michael and Jeff were currently watching Despicable Me while lying in bed. Jeff consumed a cookie and a cup of chocolate milk. Jeff raised his head and regarded Michael from above. "Sorry," Michael appeared perplexed. "What an angel." Was awful. Michael sat reflecting over the day because he was unsure of what Jeff was referring to. He then argued about what transpired at Target. Jeff nodded and sat back on Michael's chest, combing his fingers through Michael's hair, saying, "It's okay, but you can have temper tantrums, you have to be a good kid." Thanks for watching. If you want more stories or information about ageregression, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like and leave a comment to let us know what you want to see next.